We had a guy in our college class who wore adult diapers. His name was Ethan Brooks, and every time he got nervous he'd lose control of his bowels. No joke, he'd just shit himself right there. His diapers? He changed them every other day at best. The smell? Brain melting. So when it came time to form teams for our advertising strategy class project, guess who ended up stuck with him? Yeah, me. I was nearly knocked out by the stench during our first meeting. So I did what any desperate girl would do. I handed him a pack of adult diapers. A peace offering. A hygienic plea. Just do something about it. But somehow, Ethan got the wrong idea. He thought I had a crush on him. And when he saw me holding hands with my boyfriend in the quad, he showed up the next day with a kitchen knife and stabbed me in the chest, screaming, "You bitch! You just gave me a love token, and now you're eye-fucking some pretty boy behind my back." When I opened my eyes again, I was back in the classroom, the very day the teams were assigned. Back to where it all started. Across the room, Jessica Lane, our class sweetheart and reigning campus beauty, raised her hand with a sweet voice that barely masked her scheming. "Professor," she said, "I'd like to work with Ethan Brooks." We were supposed to form groups of 3 to 5 for our final PPT presentation. My dormmates and I had agreed to team up. 4 of us. Perfect fit. But before I could say a word, Jessica swooped in and took my spot. Suddenly, I was alone. Well, not quite. 2 other stragglers were also unclaimed. One was some guy who napped in the back corner every day and smelled like weed and Monster Energy. The other was Ethan. Yep. Ethan Brooks. The poop king. He wore diapers day in and day out, and apparently hadn't changed them in 3 days. The air around him was thick with despair. Jessica scanned between the 2 of us, like she was watching a particularly tragic charity infomercial. "What's the matter, Summer?" she asked me with that phony concern. "You're usually top of the class. Are you really going to pass on a group just because someone has a condition?" I was still disoriented, caught between deja vu and dread, and her words hit me like a slap, just like in the last timeline. In our previous life, those exact words sealed my fate. The professor, eager to dismiss class, had nodded and said, "Then it's settled, same teams for the rest of the term. You'll present in this order too. Makes roll call easier." And just like that, I was sentenced to work with Ethan. Each class, I'd sit beside him, trying not to faint. Then one day, he got called on. He couldn't answer, froze, panicked, and I heard it. The unmistakable squelch of a full-blown accident. His overloaded diaper, now a bomb of feces and urine, exploded. The fluid rolled down his leg. The entire room turned into a biohazard zone. I threw up. Right there. Couldn't help it. I was ready to drop the class. Screw the project, screw the grade. But then the professor made an announcement. "This group project counts for 50% of your final grade. Fail it, and you fail the course." That scholarship? Gone if I bailed. And for someone like me, coming from a family scraping by, that money meant everything. So I stayed. Jessica, ever the angel, came to me after class, wringing her hands. "I'm so sorry, Summer. I just wanted to help Ethan. His parents can't afford his medication or even the diapers." Then she pulled a crumpled $20 bill from her purse and shoved it into my hand. "Here, why don't you buy him some? Think of it as me making it up to you." I didn't take her money. But yeah. I still bought the diapers. For my own sanity, if nothing else. When I handed them to Ethan, he looked like I just asked him to prom. He clutched the pack to his chest, cheeks turning red. "I accept your love offering," he said. "But my mom says no dating until after graduation." "I'm sorry, Summer. I can't be with you." I stared at him like he was a cryptid on the subway. My brain physically refused to process it. He thought I liked him. And no matter how I tried to clarify, he wouldn't listen. I vented to my boyfriend after class. He tried to hold back his laughter while promising me a purse for my troubles. But Ethan? He popped out of nowhere again, this time with a knife. He lunged. I screamed. I fought back. Still, he got me. Right in the heart. The last thing I smelled was that horrible stench. The last thing I heard was his voice, shrieking. "You whore, you gave me your heart and then gave your body to someone else? I told you, No dating till I graduate. Even in death, my chest ached with disbelief and rage. So this time, as Jessica opened her mouth to repeat history, I beat her to the punch. "Professor," I said, loud and clear. "Jessica said she wants to work with Ethan." Jessica blinked. She hadn't expected that. Neither had anyone else. Students who'd already secured their teams twisted around in their seats to watch the drama unfold. Jessica opened her mouth to protest, but I cut her off, using her own words. "What's wrong, Jessica? Don't want to work with him? Afraid of someone with a medical condition? Or are you just not confident in yourself?" She stared at me, furious but helpless. See, in the last life, I caved. I took the hit. But Jessica? Jessica lived for her image. The sweet, kind-hearted girl who everyone adored. She couldn't risk ruining that. She stayed quiet. The professor, tired of the delay, clapped his hands. "All right then. Groups are final. That's it." As he left, I turned and beamed. "Our campus queen is truly beautiful and kind," I said. My roommates joined in. "She's just built different." "What a saint!" Jessica sat frozen, unable to retaliate without ruining herself. Once the others had filed out, she stormed over and slammed her books on my desk. "You did that on purpose." I smiled sweetly. "Of course I did." She pointed a finger at me, trembling. "You're insane." "I just know you've had a crush on Ethan forever," I said loudly, making sure the hallway crowd could hear. "And you were just too shy to ask him directly, so you wanted me to be your wingwoman." "Don't worry, I'm happy to help." She sputtered. "You're out of your mind." "Me? Like that diaper-wearing freak?" But it was too late. Ethan had overheard, and the seed was planted. And that was just the beginning. Chapter 2. The diaper prince makes his move. Jessica thought she could breathe easy. She believed that as long as she smiled in class, sat next to Ethan, and didn't gag from the smell, she could maintain her saintly image. Unfortunately for her, I had plans. I secretly sent a few cash-stuffed Venmo payments to some classmates I trusted. During lectures, they made sure to sit near Ethan, and casually drop a few carefully crafted lines. "You know, Jessica is so patient and kind. Not many people would team up with someone like Ethan without hesitation. She didn't even flinch when he had that, situation. That's real love right there." Jessica had no idea she was being set up, but her reaction said it all. One afternoon she came rushing into class, hair curled, makeup flawless, definitely dressed for someone. Probably just came from meeting another of her pathetic orbiters. As she sat down, 2 students behind her whispered loudly enough for her to hear. Jessica Lane really is the full package. Pretty, kind, and totally down to earth. Makes you wonder what kind of guy is good enough for someone like her. Jessica paused mid-hair flip. A small, satisfied smirk crept across her face. That smirk didn't last. Because Ethan, like some demented puppy, was watching her from the second row, his hands lovingly cradling the diapers she had given him. Now, here's the thing. Rumor had it, Ethan's mother handmade all his diapers. So he saw them as sacred, like a symbol of familial intimacy. Jessica's store-bought pack? To him, it was a proposal. And sure enough, during our next class, she brought him another pack. "Here," she muttered, barely meeting his eyes. "Take it. Go change. Please." Ethan's eyes sparkled like he'd just received an engagement ring. And then, to everyone's horror, he baby-talked. "BB, but baby doesn't need to change. Mommy says I'm the most frugal baby in the whole world. I only throw diapers away if they're extra crunchy. If there's just a little bit of boom boom, I wring it out and hang it up to dry. And if there's no boom boom, I wear it again the next day. Even the stray cats and dogs in the courtyard recognize me now." Jessica hadn't even let him finish before she was dry heaving. "Me?" I quietly set down my breakfast sandwich and smiled. That night Jessica disappeared the moment class ended. She practically sprinted out the building, trying to get as far away from Ethan as possible. But Ethan didn't leave. He stayed behind, sitting at his desk, giggling. I walked up to him casually. "So, what were you two talking about just now?" She looked happy. He fidgeted, then whispered. "She gave me another pack of diapers. You think that means she's really into me?" I stared, stunned. But hey, if delusion is all it takes. Absolutely, I said with a straight face. No girl gives out adult diapers unless she's in love. That's practically a marriage proposal. Ethan nodded solemnly and stared at the classroom door with an adoring gaze. I could practically hear Jessica's future screaming. Because for someone like her, someone obsessed with her image, who curated her life like an Instagram feed, being stalked by a diaper-wearing lunatic was worse than death. Ethan was convinced this was destiny. And I wasn't about to correct him. I leaned in and whispered, "Wanna know how to really impress her?" He blinked eagerly. "How?" "Confess, publicly. Girls love dramatic over-the-top declarations. Something memorable." His eyes widened. And right then, I knew he was going to do it. Presentation day arrived. Jessica had dressed to kill, probably thinking this would be the final class where she'd have to endure Ethan before washing her hands clean of the whole mess. Too bad Ethan had other plans. Before she could even open her mouth, he darted to the front of the room and pulled up a PowerPoint slide he had secretly prepared. The screen went black, then bloomed into a giant garish pink heart. Dead center, a photo of Jessica, candid but oddly flattering. Then Ethan's voice boomed, loud enough to echo down the hallway. "Jessica Lane, I love you. I know you love me too. Let's be together forever." A fart sound followed his final word, long and wet, and echoing like a gunshot. Everyone froze. Then, chaos. Laughter burst like a dam. Students were choking, crying, falling out of chairs. Jessica's face turned crimson. Her jaw dropped. And then, without a word, she grabbed her bag and ran out of the room. Less than 24 hours later, the confession had gone viral. Diaper boy confesses to campus queen. Jessica Lane. Too kind for her own good? Even worse, someone had made a meme out of Ethan's line, "I know you love me too," complete with Jessica's horrified face, now immortalized in hundreds of Discord servers. Jessica went ballistic in her dorm that night, according to a classmate who lived next door. But online? She posted a calm, sugary statement in the group chat. "Hey guys, there's been a huge misunderstanding. I never intended to hurt Ethan's feelings, and I hope we can all move on respectfully." I could practically see her grinding her teeth through those sparkles. But the worst was yet to come. Because Ethan was emboldened. He began following her around campus, showing up in the library, at the gym, by the vending machines. Always smiling, always watching. Jessica had started the semester as the untouchable sweetheart. Now she was a walking magnet for mockery. And she hadn't even met Ethan's mother yet. That show was just about to start. Chapter 3. Mommy's here, and she's unhinged. Just when Jessica thought things couldn't possibly get worse, she met Ethan's mother. It happened in the cafeteria. I was there when it went down, watching from a safe distance, tray of fries in hand, waiting for the chaos to unfold. Mrs. Brooks was a short, round woman with wiry hair, a permanent frown, and a voice like a megaphone taped to a blender. She cornered Jessica right by the dessert counter. At first, Jessica tried to be polite. "Excuse me," she said, clearly in no mood. "Could you move out of the way?" Mrs. Brooks crossed her arms and barked. "I'm Ethan's mother." Jessica blinked. For a second, I could see her exhale in relief. She probably thought the woman was here to apologize. She wasn't. "How dare you toy with my son's feelings, you shameless hussy!" Mrs. Brooks roared. The cafeteria fell silent. "Trying to seduce him with diapers. You think I don't know what that means?" Jessica's face paled. She glanced around, already sensing the attention. What? I wasn't." But Mrs. Brooks cut her off, her voice rising higher. "You think I'll let some floozy derail my son's future? He's gonna be a scientist, a genius. He doesn't need distractions from some desperate girl trying to trap him." I nearly dropped my fries from how hard I was gripping the tray. Jessica was shaking now, not from fear but from sheer boiling rage. Still, she tried one last time. "I never said." Mrs. Brooks didn't care. She wasn't listening. "If you really love my Ethan, then wait. Wait until he graduates. Then maybe I'll consider letting you marry into our family." She looked Jessica up and down with visible disgust. Though, honestly, I don't think you're tall enough. Are you even 5'3"? In our family, anyone under 5'4" is practically disabled. But hey, maybe marrying up into our gene pool will help your future kids not be so unfortunate. That was it. Jessica snapped. She drew herself up, eyes burning, and spat. Excuse me? You're calling me defective? Your son is a walking biohazard. He's 180 pounds of stink and nonsense. You think I want to be with him? If he were the last man on earth, I'd rather marry a raccoon. The crowd gasped. Mrs. Brooks was stunned. She'd clearly expected the usual groveling. Instead, Jessica was on a roll. And while we're at it, your diaper-wearing manchild stabbed a girl last semester. Maybe spend less time matchmaking and more time parenting, you shriveled-up sack of delusion. I was in awe. For the first time, Jessica had shed her sugary facade and gone full banshee, but so had Mrs. Brooks. She lunged. Fists flew. Hair was pulled. Faces were scratched. The two of them went at each other like possessed raccoons on Black Friday. Security showed up 5 minutes late, just in time to find Jessica screaming bloody murder and Mrs. Brooks sobbing about genetic betrayal and ungrateful bitches. Phones were out. Videos were taken. The next day, TikTok exploded. #DiaperMomScampusqueen trended for 6 hours straight. One video, of Mrs. Brooks wailing about gene pools while Jessica called her son a biologically confused hippo, hit 3 million views. But Mrs. Brooks? She didn't back down. Nope. She doubled down. That night she went live on Facebook in full makeup, sobbing into the camera as she clutched a framed photo of Ethan in a bow tie. My baby boy, she wept. He's sweet and gifted and smells like sunshine. He's not like other boys. He's gentle. He wears diapers because he's pure. And she tried to take advantage of that. She then uploaded 2 videos as proof. One, Ethan, completely naked except for a sagging diaper, feeding cat food to a stray kitten while singing lullabies. 2. A montage of Ethan's adorable moments from dorm life, diaper changes, boom boom reports, and a blurry clip where he claimed the bathroom tiles talked to him. The internet went wild. Some users took pity on Ethan. Most didn't. And Jessica? She was done. Her DMs were full of memes. Her face was now part of a viral reaction sticker pack. People would walk past her in the hallway and whisper, "She gave him the diapers." Her perfect image was shattered. And I savored every second. She ruined my life in the last timeline. Framed me, used me, got me killed. This time, I was just getting started. Chapter 4. The Queen Strikes Back. Jessica Lange had always been composed. Polished. Practically a walking PR campaign. But after the cafeteria showdown and her subsequent memification, something in her cracked. Her once serene smiles? Gone. Her texts in the class group chat? Now laced with passive-aggressive emojis and overcompensating sparkle filters. And then one day she dropped a bomb on her Instagram story. So lucky to have met someone so aligned with me. Attached was a soft-focus couple selfie, Jessica and a new guy. Tall, conventionally handsome, and clearly not Ethan Brooks. The caption, "We've been together for a while, just wanted to wait until things were solid before going public. Don't believe the rumors. I was just helping a classmate in need. #clarity. #love wins." 30 minutes later, the same post appeared on the guy's account. Coordinated. Clean. Strategic. It worked. Sort of. The tide online shifted. Some began calling Jessica a misunderstood sweetheart. Others sympathized. She was just being nice to a weird kid, and he took it the wrong way. This is why you don't do charity work in college. But while the public may have moved on, Ethan hadn't. He shadowed Jessica everywhere, sitting near her in the library, waiting by the dining hall exit, loitering near her lecture hall with his signature reek. He never approached. Just watched, smiling. And he always had that original pack of diapers she gave him. Still unopened. Clutched to his chest like a sacred artifact. That's when I knew it was time to turn up the heat. I found Ethan under the sycamore tree by the quad, staring at Jessica as she walked by with her new boyfriend. "You okay?" I asked casually. He nodded, silent. I pointed to the diapers. That's the love token she gave you, right? His eyes lit up. Yes, he said with pride. She gave it to me. That means she chose me. But I lowered my voice. She's with someone else now. That's not right. Ethan's smile faltered. I leaned in. You know what my mom always said? Girls who give love tokens and then flirt with other guys are sluts. His head snapped toward me. I shrugged, letting the poison sink in. And you know what happens to sluts? Ethan stared at me, unblinking. What? I leaned closer. They get what they deserve. Something shifted behind his eyes. Something deeply broken. Jessica, oblivious, continued posing for pictures on the main lawn with her boyfriend, laughing like the internet hadn't dubbed her the queen of diapers 2 weeks ago. She thought she'd moved on. She had no idea what was coming. Ethan watched her, breathing heavily. She can't like someone else, he murmured. She gave me the diapers. He turned slowly, and looked at me. I wore them today. The ones she gave me. I wanted her to know I remembered. My stomach turned, but I kept my voice steady. Exactly. That was your sign. And now she's cheating on you. Ethan's hands trembled. His fingers tightened around the pack. Sluts deserve to die. The way he said it, calm, casual, was exactly how he'd sounded right before he killed me in the last life. I took a step back. He reached into his backpack. I didn't need to see what it was. I already knew. Jessica, smiling across the lawn, had just stepped into her personal hell. Chapter 5. Blood on the Lawn. Jessica didn't see it coming. She was giggling at something her new boyfriend had said, brushing her hair behind her ear like she was starring in a rom-com. Her pastel sundress swayed in the breeze. The sun was perfect, the sky was clear, and Ethan Brooks was marching toward her with a kitchen knife in his hand and madness in his eyes. You whore! He screamed. You gave me your love token. And now you're laughing with another man? Jessica's head whipped around. People nearby froze. Her boyfriend bolted without hesitation, turned on heel and sprinted. Coward? Jessica, shocked, tried to grab his sleeve, but he shoved her away and yelled, I'm not dying for this shit, before disappearing behind the fountain. She stumbled back, hitting the grass hard. Ethan was already on top of her, straddling her stomach, knife raised high. You gave me the diapers. He howled. You said you loved me. No. Jessica screamed, trying to crawl backwards. That was a misunderstanding. Please. I wore them today. He shrieked. The ones you gave me. I wore them for you. And then he brought the knife down. It slashed her shoulder, not fatal, but enough to make her scream and kick out in pain. She caught him right between the legs. Hard, but Ethan didn't even flinch. The protection layer from the adult diaper must have cushioned the blow. Instead, a brownish slush leaked down his thighs, a grotesque cocktail of waste and blood. He sniffed the air, then stabbed again. Jessica screamed louder. Her arms flailed, but he caught her wrist. I hate you. He sobbed. You made me look stupid. You're a whore and whores should die. Another stab. This time, in the abdomen. By the third hit, Jessica's limbs were slowing. Her eyes were wide, glazed, furious. She didn't cry. She never would have let him see that. But as the knife came down one last time, her lips moved. Barely. You ruined everything. The grass was soaked. The bystanders finally reacted. Screams rang out. Someone called 911. Security came running. A guy with a lacrosse stick tried to tackle Ethan, but it was too late. Jessica Lane died surrounded by dirt, blood, and a leaking adult diaper that wasn't even the right size. I could tell she'd bought the wrong brand. It was almost poetic. Ethan didn't resist when the cops grabbed him. He just stared at her body and whispered, She said she loved me. The next morning, news broke. Ethan Brooks was declared mentally competent to stand trial. He was sentenced to life in prison. You'd think that'd be the end. But no. Both families, the Lanes and the Brooks, went to war. Mrs. Brooks demanded compensation from Jessica's parents. Said it was their daughter's fault for seducing her innocent boy. She ruined his future. He was going to be a scientist. The Lanes weren't like my parents in the last life. They didn't back down. They beat her ass at the funeral, literally. Mrs. Brooks walked away with a black eye, a missing shoe, and no settlement. Then the Lanes sued, and won her house. The only one she owned. Now homeless and grieving, Mrs. Brooks wandered the city in tattered clothes, muttering to herself under bridges, "My Ethan. He's gonna change the world." But the internet wasn't done either. Someone leaked videos from years ago. Old footage of Mrs. Brooks slapping Ethan around during his childhood. The incontinence? Turns out it wasn't congenital. She'd beaten him into it. The diaper obsession, the emotional instability, all of it had been planted by the one woman who claimed to love him most. Mrs. Brooks finally snapped. She was found sleeping in a park, whispering to pigeons that her son would win a Nobel Prize. A slow, tragic descent. Karma. Pure, rotting karma. 2 years later, I graduated. No scandals. No threats. No knives in my chest. As I stood on stage in my cap and gown, listening to the dean call my name, I finally felt it. Peace. This time, I'd survived. And everyone who destroyed me in the last life? Burned, one by one. Epilogue. The girl who lived twice. They say revenge doesn't fix anything. But I disagree. The first time around, I tried to be polite. Quiet. Reasonable. I told myself not to rock the boat. I thought karma would handle the rest. I died for that. This time, I lit the match myself. Jessica Lane, the pristine manipulative girl who threw me to the wolves, was torn apart by the very monster she created. Her designer dresses couldn't save her when Ethan lunged. Her curated image cracked like porcelain under pressure. Ethan Brooks, the diaper-wearing time bomb, got exactly what he wanted. And then exactly what he deserved. Life in prison. No diapers, no mommy, no audience. Mrs. Brooks, the lunatic matriarch, was left shouting into the void. Her twisted legacy rotted in a psych ward, muttering about Nobel Prizes and love tokens between cries for a son who never became anything but a cautionary tale. And me? I got my life back. I walked across that graduation stage not as a victim, but as someone who had stared hell in the face and come out grinning. Was I a hero? Not even close. I manipulated. I instigated. I whispered poison with a smile. But I didn't stab anyone. I just gave them the nudge they needed. A little push toward the edge they'd already built for themselves. They leapt. And I watched. So no, revenge didn't ruin me. It restored me. This time, I won. And I won't apologize for it. Not now. Not ever. Story ends.